When it comes to sailing, Bermuda never disappoints.
What a start by the fleet!
High speeds and high risks. Oh no! The Bons Flying Rouge and Los Gallos are on top after day one.
Punching. This is an absolute championship fight.
With the US SailGP team just behind.
Absolute perfection.
3 winners from 4 races. On day 2, it's all to play for. This is SailGP Supercharged on Super Sunday.
And we welcome you back. What an event it was. The Apex Group Bermuda Sail Grand Prix. I'm Todd Harris alongside Hannah Diamond and Stevie Morrison. Guys, let's cut right to the chase. Hannah, I'll start with you. The final. What a showdown with the Australians, the Spanish, and the Germans.
Yeah, it was a great showdown, wasn't it? And I think, 2 of the top hitting teams and one maybe slightly more underrated team in that final. It was all about the start, as it has been all weekend. So getting off that line was going to be really important. We saw the Bons Flying Rouge line up really nicely at the bottom end of the line, the favoured end of the line in the end. And then maybe a little bit of a mistake from the Germans at the top end of the line, just having to slow themselves down a little bit, readjust their speed. But the Bons Flying Rouge have just been really strong this weekend, haven't they, Stevie?
Yeah, I think at the moment Spain, Los Gallos and the Bons Flying Rouge are a class apart. Personally, I think they're really, really good, and you just saw the accuracy of all the roundings here. The Spanish all weekend have been very good at overtaking boats, but when you've got the boat ahead of you as the Bons Flying Rouge, they just don't make mistakes. They just didn't open the door. Spanish did roll the dice at the top here, but doing the wrong thing often isn't the right thing.
No, and I think so. Often the Spanish have kind of rolled the dice a little bit in the final, and even from positions that we wouldn't think it would pay off, they have managed to make it work, but this time it just wasn't to be.
Yeah.
But if you go back to the start, if you give the Bons Flying Rouge that much room and that much opportunity to choose where they want to go, Stevie, how do you beat them?
Well, I think the interesting thing with that is they all have a plan. We say that, don't we? The Mike Tyson comment, everyone has a plan until you're punched in the face, right? And they had the plan. Germany had a plan. They were first back. They set the time, and then people pick off against that. Normally, Slingsby likes to set the time. I feel like he's slightly loosened up. He's almost got a hint of Burling about him. He's got that little bit more freestyle of, I'm going to react to you, and I'm going to do a better job of it. So I don't know that they made any mistakes. He's just really got his predator's instinct at the moment.
And what a party it was as the trophy was handed out on the shores of the Great Sound. This is something they've done a time or two. The Australians celebrating with a little bit of bubbly, the trophy in hand. So now they're on a roll, Hannah, and this is what it gets a little dangerous. 2 for 2. Who's stopping the Bons Flying Rouge when we get to New York City?
Yeah, and they've got such a history of winning events and building that momentum throughout the season. So I think they're going to be tough to beat over the next few events, but New York, not an easy venue to win at all.
After the event, Lisa Darmanin catching up with her fellow countrymen, the Bons Flying Rouge.
Congratulations, Tom. Another win on the board. How good does it feel?
It feels amazing. I mean, we sailed so well all week, and to do it here, which is a second home for us for a long time. We love it here in Bermuda, and so amazing to come back and win in front of everyone.
Yeah, I think you made every final here, but to get a win is just so much special. And another one for the wall. You're going to need more wall space with the amount of wheels you've got.
Yeah, no, we're doing well on the wins lately, but obviously winning at the end of the year is a big thing. And but we're right on track. Team's sailing well. We've got an amazing team behind these guys with our shore team, and so it's so exciting to have everyone here.
Awesome, thanks, Tom.
Hannah, we turn our attention off of the Australians because they don't need any more attention, and we talk about Germany Deutsche Bank. This was a team that after day number 1 did not look like they had any chance of making the final, and they really turned it on Super Sunday and found themselves in that 3rd spot.
And I think often we talk about needing to win races, and actually Germany Deutsche Bank sort of stayed under the radar. They just put a really consistent series together. And when it came down to that last race, there was a little bit of pressure. There were a couple of boats that could have stolen that last spot in the final. They absolutely nailed the start of that last fleet race fight.
And I feel like all weekend, they just did a good job of chipping away and overtaking boats. Them and the Spanish were the best at moving through the fleet when they had to. And yeah, when they got ahead, they were pretty dominant. But if you think of Rio, they got better than they were in Sydney. I think it's quite, in some ways, typically German, logical, processed way of getting better incrementally. And we're starting to see the team that we saw at the end of last season.
Let's talk about a team that really missed an opportunity, and that's North Star Canada. On day number 1, they looked good, Stevie, but it was the move in, I think it was race number 6, that really cast the die and just took them out of it. They were in the top 3. We had a graphic up on TV, and it had North Star Canada in the top 3 position, and then they weren't.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's hard, isn't it? They were starting so much better. For me, they've had a positive weekend. I will Hannah let her see if she thinks that as well. They made a mistake. It's been the story of their season, but they've normally made quite a few mistakes. I feel like that, that could they have done something a bit different? I'm sure they could have done. But yeah, they had a good weekend for me.
North Star Canada really living on the knife's edge on the Great Sound in Bermuda. And a short time ago, Stevie caught up with chief umpire Craig Mitchell to break it all down.
Well, yeah, Craig, so race 3 yesterday, and pretty dramatic action at the start, wasn't it? We're going to get a bit of a look at it over here now. And we saw it at the sort of upwind end of the line, so it's going to be coming in way over there. We see the Canadian boat. It's got a bit of space, hasn't it, on the line, coming into things quite early here, looking to line things up. They were pretty aggressive at the top of the line. That had been working in a few of the starts, hasn't it? And as we come in, we can see the Italian boats a little bit early back, and actually they start to close up towards this end of the line here. Canada dive in. To me, I was screaming at the telly, and for everyone else to listen, I was saying that was too risky, that was too much. It was really, really tight in there. As we see on board the Italian boat here as well now, we're on the back of the Italians, and you can see again, it all gets pretty tight. Now, I see it from quite an emotional perspective. I'm sure Phil Robertson got quite emotional, but you see it in a different light, don't you? You're looking on the umpap, you had to make the call. So why wasn't that a black flag when I thought it was?
So, I mean, I'm looking at the video there. You go, ooh, that does look a bit too close, doesn't it? And that's always the key of the decision: is how close is too close. If you look at the umpap, you'll see that Canada coming in. We identify them as being at risk, and they're going quicker than the other pair. And you've got Denmark there, you've got Italy there. Italy, are the ones that we're actually concerned about. Denmark were clear astern, and then bailed out. But then Italy are there, do they have to take avoiding action? And is that warranted avoiding action, or is Canada just through and gone? Yeah. And it just begs the question.
What sort of distances are we talking about?
I mean, if you look at it on the umpap, it's a very emotionless, clinical tool. So we don't get the wind noise, we don't get the spray, we don't get the, this is all going to go really, really wrong really quickly. So we see it, and we look at the distance, and we go, well, they're going 15 kilometres an hour quicker than Italy, and so are Italy going to catch them? And we look at it and go, well, the gap's +4, +5, +6 metres. They're going away.
You can sort of see that, can't you, how close it is on that shot.
But you then talk to the teams and say, well, we don't want to have people having contact, so how close is too close?
Yeah. Well, I know for sure Phil Robertson will have disagreed with you, but you've met with everyone. I mean, again, the great thing with SailGP is you do actually do a review each day with the teams. You discuss the decisions, and what was the takeaways?
The takeaways is you don't want to get much closer, and that we need to really make sure that we're discouraging that manoeuvre. But to the exact detail of how close is too close, that's still grey in the grey area.
Yeah, okay. Well, there you go. That's the area you love to work, isn't it, Craig? And thanks very much for joining us. Really helpful and pretty insightful. But yeah, tight moment there. I personally still think Canada were pushing a bit too hard, but again, you've got to deal in facts. So thanks for joining us, Craig.
Yeah, cheers, Stevie.
Mate.
Well, normally we don't like to hear Craig Mitchell's voice, but that was very pleasant, so we appreciate his time. We take a look at the standings and how it all went down. Bonsflying Rouge gets the win and the 10 points. Los Gallos finished in second. Germany Deutsche Bank in third. Then you've got Emirates GBR just missing out on the final. Explorer Swiss finishing top 5. North Star, heartbreak for them. They finished 6th overall. US SailGP team dropped down to 7th. Then is Red Bull Italy, DS Team France, Rockwell Racing, Artemis, and Mubadala Brazil. Of course, the Black Foils unable to go because their boat not quite ready yet. Let's take a look now at the season standings after 5. The Bonsflying Rouge with a 10-point lead over Emirates GBR, who are now in second as the defending champions. So there you have all the winners of 5 seasons of SailGP. The Bonsflying Rouge have 3, Emirates has 1, Los Gallos has 1, and there's a US SailGP team now out of the cut line. They currently sit in 4th place. All right, so after 5 events, Hannah, we'll start with you. Where do you think the league sits? Who do you like? Who's got the momentum? Obviously, the Bonsflying Rouge. And how does this all play as we look forward to New York City?
Well, I think there are definitely 3 top teams that are looking pretty hard to beat at the moment. And I think after that, the rest of the leaderboard is shaping up kind of in a bit of a position where someone needs to make a really big jump in their performance and how they're sailing the boat, how they're racing, if they want to beat some of those top 3 teams. And I think they need to do it soon, because otherwise the 3 who are at the top currently are going to be walking away with it.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think those top 3, I'd almost pick them now to be in the final. Come the end of the season, I think massive. I think you're looking at teams down the league that have got to turn things around. Mubadala Brazil, Martini's got that ability to win a race. We kind of knew she always would, but there's a little bit of a lack of consistency in the structure of how they're sailing. They need to tidy that up. Rockwell Denmark, there's too many mistakes happening still. North Star, some improvement, but they've still got to make a result stick. And then, it's can any of these teams actually string together an event? Bear in mind, Spain won last time in New York.
Yeah, interesting. Well, at the last event, we had Pete Burling, the driver for the Blackfoils of New Zealand. As we mentioned, their boat's not ready yet. It looks like it's going to be Halifax. But we did get Pete's thoughts, not working here in the studio with us, out on site in Bermuda, as he looks forward to the rest of the season.
It's been a super busy period since we haven't been racing in Auckland. I think initially it was really making sure we looked after our people, really built a solid plan forward. Obviously Louis was the biggest priority on the recovery there, so making sure he got well looked after, managed to get back home to Antigua so he can continue his recovery there, and his recovery's going as expected. It's obviously a long road, but really positive, and being able to now do stuff and keep the muscle mass. So it's been great to see him making a really good recovery. And then it was more around how do we build a plan for the rest of the team? How do we work out when the restart date is? How do we continue to build the commercial program, and also get through new ownership? And then more recently it's become how do we actually make sure when we do get back we've made some steps forward in terms of how we're performing since the last event. So it's been amazing to see the whole group come together through these tough times, and really everyone to keep owning their areas, and that real excitement to continue to push it forward.
And Pete, you're always welcome here in studio with us. All right, let's take a look at New York City. Stevie, this is an interesting thing. You've got the Hudson River, one of the most busy waterways anywhere, with a massive city in New York City, and people are commuting back and forth to Manhattan. So it makes it kind of tricky. What makes New York City special?
Well, it's New York City. It's just the Big Apple. There's Lady Liberty right there. But then from a sailing perspective, you've got quite a lot of current. We often have sort of a light to medium kind of breeze. It should be solid foiling, but it can have, if it comes off the city, it will be carnage. It will be absolutely crazy racing. But I think a big thing about that event, Hannah, is going to be the fact that there's no training before it.
No, that's right. And with SailGP, there is very limited time on the boat, so the teams are using as many other kind of outside sources of information. They've got the Oracle data cloud that they can access, but they're straight into it. And just because there's no training doesn't mean that the event counts for any less. It counts for just the same as all the others.
It'll be a fantastic show. Summer in New York City, there's nothing quite like it. So we're looking forward to that May 30th and 31st in the Big Apple of New York City. Stevie, I tell you what, there's some yellow cab drivers in there. They might do well at the wheel of a F50 because they will thread the needle. Yeah, well, we've certainly seen now. You've got to be starting to get pretty brave, haven't you? The margins in it are so tight. Distance at the start, the accuracy's just really taken a step up this season.
Yeah, it definitely has. And this weekend was so much about the starting, but New York's a different venue. The teams are going to have to be reassessing how they're prioritizing their strategy, their boat speed, their maneuvers going into that event. And I think it'll be a completely different event than we've had. Yeah, and how do they actually go about that? I just feel like they'll have a bit of momentum. It must be so hard. But I guess for the teams that are lower down, it's a good chance to reset. But for the Bonds Flying Rouge, it must be gutting to not be able to get back in tomorrow. Potentially some massive opportunities for the teams that are a little bit further down the leaderboard. So it will be event number 6 of the 2026 season, part of the Rolex SailGP Championships. We will be there. We'll bring you all the coverage. It will be fantastic. The Big Apple, the backstage. If you can race there, you can race anywhere. So for Stevie Morrison, Hannah Diamond, I'm Todd Harris. We will see you next month in New York City.